When I was younger, I spent more time pretending to be other people than being myself. I wore borrowed names that felt like armor at first, elves with careful manners and old grief, knights who failed and tried again, thieves who noticed everything and said very little, scholars who mistook curiosity for courage until it grew into the real thing. I thought I was only playing, but those characters were lenses, and through them I started to see the outlines of my own face. What seemed like make-believe turned into a language for feelings I could not name, and a map for a life I did not yet know how to live. I want to share what that meant. Role-playing was never just a way of hiding. It was a way of building a self from the inside out. Writing stories with strangers helped me through loneliness, taught me how to listen, and gave me a creative voice that I still carry now. If you have ever typed your heart into a text box and waited for a reply that might change the scene, you already know there is a quiet miracle in that. If you have not, I hope this story shows you why it mattered. I found role-playing in the mid to late 2000s when forums were bustling and MMOs felt real. I stumbled into it the way you stumble into any important thing, almost by accident. A thread title caught my eye. A few lines in a chat window did not sound like plagues discussing mechanics. They sounded like people speaking as the characters who lived in that world. I remember reading in silence for a long while, the way you listen at the doorway of a room you want to enter. Then I realized I could. All I needed was a name that fit, a history that hurt in interesting ways, and the courage to write a first sentence. Outside the screen, I was quiet and watchful. I could be funny with friends and still feel tongue-tied when it mattered. Inside those worlds, the words came easier. It was not that the feelings were different. It was that the distance gave me a way to touch them without flinching. My characters could say what I could not say yet. They could fail without the failure sticking to my real name. They could ask for help in a way that made asking feel like art instead of need. Escapism is a simple word that does not quite hold the weight of this. It was not running away. It was stepping sideways into a room where I could practice being braver, then carrying that practice back with me. There was a kind of apprenticeship in the very act of showing up. You learned the cadence of a forum thread, the gentle rhythm of late-night posts, the tilt of a sentence that invites a partner to answer. You learn to care for continuity, to remember what happened 3 chapters ago, to respect the boundaries between character and player. You learn that a story only works if everyone inside it feels safe. These are ordinary lessons on paper, but they felt extraordinary to a person who had not yet found a place where careful attention was welcomed and rewarded. What kept me there was not only the writing, it was the people who gathered around it. We were a loose chorus of students and night workers and parents and insomniacs, scattered across time zones and held together by the simple promise: if you write, I will write back. I would come home tired and sit down to find a reply waiting, and the day would tilt a little toward the good. We learned each other's rhythms. We cheered for a post that surprised us with a turn of phrase. We left space when someone needed time. We argued gently about lore and then changed our minds. We wrote apologies when our characters hurt each other, and talked through it until the scene felt true. There was a sweetness to the work of collaborative storytelling that I did not expect. You would spend an hour crafting a response for one other person to read. The intimacy taught me to write with a listener in mind. It taught me to honor someone else's intention, to notice the breadcrumbs they left for me in a paragraph, to pick them up and offer something back. Empathy moved from being a good idea to a practice. You try to see the world as your character sees it. Then you try to see your character as your partner sees them. And somewhere in that double vision you realize how many ways there are to be a person. It was not only soft, There were rivalries that crackled, misunderstandings that stung, and late-night edits made in a rush of feeling that looked different in the morning. There were also friendships that grew out of nothing more than a shared love of small details. We would spend a page describing the way winter light sits on stone, and you would think no one could care about that. But someone always did. The internet can be a sharp place. In those threads we made a gentler corner and filled it with characters who were allowed to be complex, and with players who were allowed to be new at this, and get better together. Role-playing changed my relationship with writing because it asked the two most useful questions. What does this character want right now? What can I give my partner that will make their next reply easy and interesting? I learned pacing by feeling a thread slow and finding a way to move it along without stealing the scene. I learned tone by noticing how a single adjective could tilt a conversation toward tenderness or toward threat. I learned character by listening to the voice in my head until it sounded less like performance and more like a person who had always been there. The format helped. Posts lived somewhere between prose and dialogue, reactive and descriptive at once. The best ones were generous. They gave the next writer something to hold, they left a door ajar. That habit changed everything I wrote later. I stopped trying to be impressive and started trying to be clear. I started paying attention to the small sensory details that make a moment feel lived in. The way a mug warms your hands before you drink. The grit of sand under a boot. The silence between two people who have finally said the true thing and do not know what comes next. Writing in those spaces was a different kind of peace. My characters cried when I could not. They spoke up when I was quiet. They told the truth in ways that felt safe because they were placed inside a story. Over time, that safety taught me to speak more plainly as myself. There is a difference between using fiction to avoid a feeling and using fiction to walk toward it slowly. I did not always get that difference right. With practice, I learned to recognize when a scene was helping me name something and when I was hiding inside it. That discernment is one of the most valuable skills I took with me. Feedback mattered more than I expected. A comment that quoted a single line could light up a week. A partner who mirrored a choice my character made and built on it could make me feel seen in a way that felt like weather clearing. The distance of the internet does not always dull connection. Sometimes it sharpens it. I kept drafts of replies the way you keep letters. I learned to revise without defensiveness. I learned to cut a paragraph I loved if it was holding the scene hostage. Learning to let go of a sentence is not only a writing skill. It becomes a life skill when you realize you can release something and still be whole. I did not start role-playing because I wanted to become a writer. I started because I was hurting and needed somewhere to put the ache. There were stretches of isolation that made the days feel thin. There were questions about identity that I was not ready to say aloud. There were rooms where my words never quite landed. In those moments, the act of being someone else felt like easing a door open into a warmer space. It was not that the pain disappeared. It is that the story gave it shape, and with shape came the possibility of meaning and movement. Role-playing offered a mirror that did not stare back. Through arcs and consequences, I tried on bravery. I watched characters earn forgiveness, and I learned how to forgive myself for being a person who takes time to grow. I wrote longing until I could recognize it in my own chest without flinching. I wrote grief with company and found that even an imagined witness can soften the edges of loss. Healing is a big word for a quiet process. Often it looked like showing up to write when I felt like disappearing, and leaving the desk with a small sense of having met myself and being kind. There was also a lesson in boundaries that I am grateful for. Good communities make room for consent and clarity. We learn to ask before steering a scene into difficult waters. We learn to check in after intense moments. We learn to separate a character's choices from a player's worth. Those habits carried forward into friendships and work and love. They taught me that honesty does not have to be loud to be strong, and that care is often a series of small messages that say, I am here, I am paying attention, and I will adjust if you need me to. I do not roleplay as much now, but it is written into how I move through the world. It gave me empathy that starts with curiosity rather than certainty. It gave me a storytelling rhythm that trusts the scene to reveal itself if you listen closely. It gave me the courage to share my writing in public, and to accept that not every reader will stay, and that this is fine. It taught me that collaboration is one of the most beautiful risks you can take, because it asks you to be open to change. Looking back, I can see how online role-playing shaped the wider culture of telling a story online. Before streamed campaigns were common, before narrative-driven games became a language we all shared, there were threads where people practiced the art of building a world together. We learned to care about consequence. We learned to love complexity. We taught each other how to keep a character true while still allowing them to grow. Those skills echo everywhere now, in fan fiction communities and actual play tables, in the way people gather to make something bigger than any one voice. The memories are not all tidy. There were frayed threads and lost logins and friendships that faded when life pulled us in different directions. I feel tender toward that messiness, because it means the stories were alive. I miss the long nights when a reply landed, and my whole body leaned toward the screen. I miss the sensation of a scene clicking into place because two people chose to be generous at the same time. Everything I write now carries a trace of that feeling. It lives in the pause I leave on purpose. It lives in the way I end on an image that invites whoever is listening to step in and finish the thought with me. I am grateful to the people who wrote with me when I most needed company. To my younger self for pressing enter when it felt easier to go quiet, and to the stories that became a bridge back to my own life. Role-playing was never just pretending. It was becoming. Through becoming others, I finally learned how to be myself, not in a grand revelation, but in 100 small choices to show up, to listen, and to tell the truth as gently as I could. If you used to role-play on forums or in games, I would love to hear who you were back then. Tell me their name, the world they called home, and one moment you still remember. Maybe we will recognize each other by the way our characters once looked at the light. Happy Hallows Eve, everyone. Here's another song for you. Hush now, hear the bell at midnight toll. Darkshire keeps a ledger of the soul. Lanterns bleed a wavering gold along the lane, while ravens write your name in crooked rain. Keeper of the gate, weigh my breath and bone. If I cross the green, do I walk alone? Oh, Darkshire, cradle of the sleepless trees, hold me through the whisper and the wheeze. Bind my fear with candle wax and prayer, for something wears the night and waits out there. Graves at Ravenhill lean close to hear every step that stamps a trail of fear. Bootprints filled with water black as pitch,
and on the road the scattered threads of stitches. Night watch on the wall, count the beating hearts, one for every life that slowly parts. Oh, dark shire, keeper of the guttering flame, teach my tongue the hedge of which name. Let the hedge grow thick where the dire wolves run, and bar the door before the song is done. Rise the nettles sing, more bent shadows blur the boundary ring. An orphan lullaby in minor key turns the living round to face the gallows tree. Mother moon is pale, Father elm is sore. Open not the window, bolt the door. Oh, dark shot, perish of the haunted clock, measure out the courage in a stock, pour it in the cup for those who roam, and guide the lost along the road to home. I traded sleep for ashes in my mouth, I mapped the hush from north wind down to south. The candles guttered thin but would not die. They held the dark the way a tear holds sky. The hour, set your iron voice against the power. When the forest breathes and all the roads are stone, dark shire, by your grace I am not alone.